You may think a chicken is just a chicken, just a familiar creature scratching around in a back garden, clucking beside a fence, laying eggs, and fleeing the moment Christmas starts to feel a little too festive. But that idea is about to fall apart, because today's journey is not about ordinary farm birds. It is about chickens so strange, so elegant, and so unbelievably extravagant that they seem to belong on a fashion runway rather than in a hen house. Some of them look as if they were wrapped in candy floss. Some are so tiny they could almost fit into the palm of your hand. Others are so enormous they seem closer to a feathered giant than a barnyard bird. And then there are the truly unsettling ones, the birds that are black from the outside in, from comb to bone, as though nature decided to create something halfway between a living animal and a dark legend. These are not the chickens of an ordinary breakfast table. They are living curiosities shaped by history, genetics, aristocratic taste, spiritual tradition, and centuries of careful breeding. Some were treasured in Eastern temples. Some were admired in noble estates. Some were so rare and so visually astonishing that they became little more than moving works of art. So forget everything you thought you knew about chickens. What comes next is a journey through some of the rarest, most beautiful, and most unusual birds ever to set foot on a perch. And once you see them, you may never look at a chicken the same way again. 1. Onagadori. If there were ever a prize for the most dramatic hair in the chicken world, the Onagadori would win it without a fight. This extraordinary Japanese bird does not merely have a tail. It carries something closer to a flowing curtain of feathers, one that can grow beyond 10 meters in length. Yes, more than 10 meters. At that point, it stops looking like a tail and starts looking like a spectacle. The name Onagadori literally means long-tailed bird, but even that feels like an understatement. This is a breed that seems to defy the natural rules most other chickens must live by. While ordinary birds molt and replace their feathers in cycles, the Onagadori can continue growing its tail feathers for years. That happens because of a genetic mutation that prevents the normal molting cycle from taking place in the usual way. But a tail like that does not happen by accident. Not every Onagadori becomes a living river of feathers. To reach such astonishing length, the bird must be raised with exceptional care in a controlled environment. It needs high perches so it does not step on its own tail. It needs daily attention, grooming, and careful handling. In a way, raising one is less like keeping a farm bird and more like maintaining a living treasure, and that is exactly what it has become in Japan. The Onagadori is a protected breed and is regarded as a living national treasure. There is honor in it, tradition in it, and a kind of impossible elegance that makes it feel almost unreal. It does not simply walk across the ground. It seems to glide, trailing history and beauty behind it with every step. 2. Silky. If the Onagadori looks like royalty in motion, the silky looks like a dream someone accidentally turned into a chicken. At first glance, it hardly seems real at all. It looks less like a bird and more like a strange mix of fluff, cloud, rabbit, and pom-pom, as though nature decided that one ordinary chicken was not nearly whimsical enough. What makes the silky so unusual is its feathers. They are so soft and loose that they do not resemble normal feathers in the slightest. That happens because they lack the tiny hook-like structures known as barbules, the feature that usually gives feathers their firm, smooth shape. Without that structure, the silky's plumage becomes a mass of softness, giving it the appearance of having just stepped out of a salon rather than a coop. But the surprises do not end with the feathers. The silky is also dark beneath the surface. Its skin, flesh, bones, and even its internal tissues carry dark pigmentation because of a condition called fibromelanosis. That contrast between the bird's delicate, fluffy appearance and its unusually dark body only makes it feel more extraordinary. Many also come in lovely shades of white, blue, gray, or gold, which adds even more charm to an already remarkable breed. It has another rare feature as well. Unlike most chickens, which have 4 toes, the silky has 5, and perhaps most endearing of all is its temperament. Calm, affectionate, and gentle, it is known for enjoying human company and is often kept not simply as poultry, but as a pet. For many people, The silky is proof that a chicken can be far more than a farm animal. It can be soft, beautiful, strange, and unexpectedly lovable all at once. 3. Polish chicken. If there is one chicken in this world that looks as though it belongs backstage at a theatrical performance, it is the Polish chicken. With its enormous crest rising above its head like an elaborate wig, it seems less like a farm bird and more like a performer preparing for a grand entrance. It is the sort of chicken that makes you wonder whether it is about to lay an egg or begin an opera. Despite its eccentric appearance, the Polish is an old and distinguished breed with roots linked to Poland, the Netherlands, and even France. There is something undeniably aristocratic about it, as though it has carried a sense of showmanship through the centuries. Its crest is not just decorative either. In some birds, it becomes so full and dense that it partially blocks their vision, which gives them a rather distracted and uncertain air. That limited sight often makes the breed seem nervous, clumsy, or easily startled. A Polish chicken may appear to lose its bearings, bump into things, or react dramatically to the smallest surprise. Yet somehow those quirks only add to its strange charm. It feels like a creature living in its own little world, half diva and half daydreamer. Its plumage is just as impressive as its silhouette. Polish chickens can appear in white, gold, black, silver, and laced varieties, with dark edges tracing each feather and giving the whole bird an even more decorative look. For that reason, the breed is kept mainly as an ornamental chicken, admired for its theatrical beauty rather than for practical farm use. It is not simply a chicken, it is a spectacle with feathers. 4. Seabright. If chickens had a world of haute couture, the Seabright would be on the front cover of it. Small, refined, and impossibly elegant, this English breed has the kind of natural detail that feels almost too perfect to be real. It is not a chicken bred to feed a household. It is a chicken bred to be admired. The Seabright was developed in 19th century England by Sir John Seabright, an aristocrat who set out to create a bird whose beauty would be its entire purpose. And he succeeded. To this day, the breed remains one of the most celebrated ornamental chickens in the world, prized not for size or productivity, but for pure visual sophistication. Its most striking feature is the plumage. Every feather appears to have been outlined by hand, edged with a fine dark border that creates a pattern so neat and delicate it resembles embroidery. In the golden and silver varieties especially, the effect can look almost metallic, as though each feather had been polished rather than grown. It gives the bird a finish that feels more like jewelry than plumage. One of the rarest features of the Seabright is that both the males and the females share the same feather pattern. That is highly unusual among chickens, where cocks and hens normally look quite different. Here both seem dressed to the same standard, like a perfectly matched pair at a formal gathering. Yet for all its elegance, the Seabright is tiny, fragile, and full of attitude. It may weigh very little, but it carries itself as if it rules the entire coop. There is something wonderfully defiant about that. It is delicate, yes, but never forgettable. 5. Appenzeller Spitzhauben. If there is a chicken that looks as though it has been styled by a Swiss hairdresser with a taste for drama, it is the Appenzeller Spitzhauben. The name may be difficult to pronounce, but the bird itself is impossible to forget. With its sharply pointed crest standing upright like a feathered mohawk, it has the kind of appearance that instantly turns a simple chicken into something far more striking. Its name means pointed bonnet in German, which suits it perfectly. Everything about this breed seems designed to draw the eye upward. The crest gives it a bold silhouette, one that feels both eccentric and oddly elegant at the same time. Originating in the Appenzell region of Switzerland, this chicken has a long association with the alpine world, and it was even kept by nuns in mountain monasteries. That detail alone gives the breed an almost storybook quality, as though it belongs in a snowy convent courtyard somewhere high in the hills. But the Appenzeller Spitzhauben is not merely decorative. Unlike some ornamental breeds that seem made only for display, this one is active, alert, and remarkably agile. It loves to climb, explore, and reach high places. Given the chance, it may head for a wall, a tree, or anywhere else that gives it a better view. There is something almost mountaineering about its nature, as though the spirit of the Alps never quite left it. Its plumage is often spangled, especially in black and white patterns, which only makes the dramatic crest stand out even more. Though it is not especially common outside Europe, it is deeply admired for combining unusual beauty with hardiness and energy. In other words, it is not just stylish. It is lively enough to make that style feel earned. Sucker 6. Yayam Kamani. If the world of chickens has a shadowy legend, it is the Ayam Shamani. This is not simply a black chicken. It is a bird so completely dark that it almost feels unreal. Its feathers are black, its skin is black, its beak is black, its tongue is black, and even its flesh, bones, and internal organs are dark in color. It is the sort of animal that seems to belong more to myth than to an ordinary farmyard. The reason for this extraordinary appearance is a genetic condition known as fibromelanosis, which causes dark pigment to spread throughout the body. In the Ayam Semini, that process goes so far that nearly everything takes on a deep black tone. The result is striking, unsettling, and unforgettable. It looks as though it emerged fully formed from some ancient tale, already dressed in darkness. Originating in Indonesia, the Ayam Semani has long been regarded as more than just a rare breed. In its homeland, it has been associated for centuries with spiritual rituals and is often seen as a symbol of power and protection. That cultural meaning gives the bird an aura that goes far beyond appearance. It is not only rare, it feels sacred. Its rarity has also made it extremely valuable, with some birds selling for astonishing prices. Yet despite all the mystery surrounding it, the Ayam Semini has one surprisingly ordinary detail. Its eggs are not black at all, but pale and normal in appearance, which feels almost strange after everything else about the bird seems touched by the unusual. Still, that does very little to lessen its impact. The Ayam Semini does not need black eggs to remain unforgettable. Its very presence is enough, and at this point, you may be wondering, can any chicken possibly be stranger than this? 7. Sarama. If the Ayam Semani feels like a creature born from shadow and legend, the Sarama feels like the complete opposite. Tiny, charming, and almost impossibly delicate. This Malaysian breed is widely recognized as the smallest chicken in the world. And some individuals are so light that they seem less like fully grown birds and more like luxurious little chicks that simply never got any bigger. But what makes the Sarama so memorable is not only its size, it is the way it carries itself. With its chest pushed forward, its head held high, and its posture full of confidence, the Sarama seems constantly aware that it is being admired. It has the bearing of a bird that expects attention and receives it naturally. In that sense, it is not merely small, it is theatrical. Its appearance becomes even more fascinating when you consider the variety within the breed. Saramas can come in a remarkable range of colors and feather types, from sleek and smooth to curled or even soft-looking varieties depending on the line. That diversity gives them the appearance of miniature designer versions of a chicken, as though each one had been shaped with special care. Yet the breed is not loved only for its looks. The Sarama is also known for being sociable, affectionate, and comfortable around people. Some are even kept indoors as pets, sharing sofas and daily life with their owners. That fact alone says a great deal about their gentle and engaging nature. And despite its tiny size, the Sarama has no shortage of courage. It may be one of the smallest chickens on earth, but it carries itself with the spirit of something far larger. In the Sarama, size becomes almost irrelevant. What matters is presence, and this little bird has plenty of it. 8. Brahma. If the Sarama is the pocket-sized wonder of the chicken world, the Brahma is its towering opposite. This is one of the largest chicken breeds on earth, a bird so substantial that it can feel less like ordinary poultry and more like a feathered giant moving through the yard with slow, effortless authority. Brahma cocks can weigh well over 5 kilograms, and some hens are so large that their size feels almost startling when seen up close. The breed was developed in the United States during the 19th century, though its genetic roots trace back to Asia. For a time, it was one of the world's leading meat chickens, long before more practical commercial breeds took its place. But to look at a Brahma now is to understand that practicality is only part of its story. What makes the Brahma so memorable is the way it combines sheer size with a kind of quiet grandeur. Its body is broad and powerful, its stance impressive, and its legs are covered in long feathers that make it look as though it is wearing extravagant trousers. There is something almost regal about it, as though it belongs not in a simple coop, but in a courtly procession. And yet, for all its imposing presence, the Brahma is known for being remarkably gentle. It moves calmly, rarely causes trouble, and has the temperament of a true gentle giant. It may look powerful enough to dominate everything around it, but in nature it is often peaceful and easygoing. The breed also appears in several handsome color varieties, including light, buff, dark, and other rich combinations. No matter the shade, however, the effect is much the same. The Brahma does not merely look large, it looks majestic, as though it knows perfectly well that 9. Pavlovskaya. If there were a golden throne in the middle of a chicken coop, the Pavlovskaya would look as though it had every right to sit on it. This breed is not only beautiful but rare, mysterious, and steeped in history. It feels less like an ordinary domestic bird and more like a living relic that wandered out of Imperial Russia, still carrying the elegance of another age. Originating in the 17th century Russia, the Pavlovskaya was once so highly prized that it was associated with nobility and privilege. It was the sort of chicken that belonged not to common farmyards, but to the refined spaces of the elite, where appearance and rarity mattered as much as usefulness. In that setting, it became more than poultry. It became a symbol of status. Its appearance makes it easy to understand why. The Pavlovskaya has a crest that resembles a slightly untidy crown, feathers that flare around the face, and plumage patterned in rich combinations of gold, black, and metallic tones. It gives the bird the look of being permanently dressed for a winter ball, as though every movement should be accompanied by candlelight and music. Yet its history is not one of uninterrupted splendor. During the collapse of Imperial Russia and the years of Soviet upheaval, the breed nearly vanished. For a long time, it was regarded as extinct, one more casualty of a vanished world. That alone would have made it a poignant story. But the Pavlovskaya did not remain lost forever. Through the efforts of dedicated breeders, the line was eventually recovered and restored. Today it survives as one of the rarest chicken breeds in the world, admired almost like a museum piece that still breathes. There is beauty in that survival. The Pavlovskaya is not just elegant, it is a reminder that even something nearly erased can return with its dignity intact. Tepurn, Malay. If the Brahma is the gentle giant of the coop, the Malay is the hardened warrior. This is a bird that does not simply walk into view, it arrives with presence. Tall, upright, and intensely watchful, the Malay has the kind of posture that makes it look as though it is permanently sizing up the world around it. It does not need extravagant plumage or a dramatic crest to command attention. Its body does that on its own. The Malay is one of the oldest and tallest chicken breeds in existence, with origins connected to parts of Asia, including India, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Some individuals can reach around 90 centimeters in height, which gives them a startlingly imposing appearance. With a long neck, broad chest, and upright stance, they often look more like avian sentries than ordinary farm birds. Its body is lean, muscular, and built with obvious power. The neck carries relatively little feathering, which gives the bird an even harsher, more rugged appearance. Historically, that fierce look was part of the breed's identity, as it was developed for exhibition fighting, where strength and intimidation were central to its image. Even now, the Malay seems to carry that old history in the way it stands. And yet, for all its severity, it is not necessarily the most aggressive bird in the yard. Many Malays are actually fairly calm, provided they are not challenged or provoked. That contrast makes them even more compelling. They look as though they are always on the edge of confrontation, but often carry themselves with controlled restraint instead. The Malay is strong, proud, and undeniably ancient in spirit. It does not feel like a chicken bred merely to live in a coop. It feels like a relic from a harsher age, still standing tall long after the world around it changed. So do you still think all chickens are the same? After seeing a bird with a tail like a theater curtain, another that looks like a living cloud, one wearing what seems to be a grand theatrical wig, another wrapped in pure black from feather to bone, and giants that move with the weight of old legends. It becomes impossible to see the chicken coop in quite the same way again. What seemed at first like a familiar farm animal turns out to be something far more astonishing. Across different countries, cultures, and centuries, these breeds have been shaped into living works of art, symbols of status, objects of devotion, and remarkable examples of how strange and beautiful the natural world can become when history, breeding, and chance come together. Each of these birds carries something unforgettable. Some bring elegance, some bring mystery, some bring sheer spectacle, but all of them prove one thing very clearly. The world of chickens is far richer, rarer, and more extraordinary than most people ever imagine. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these feathered wonders impressed you the most? Tell me in the comments, leave a like if you enjoy this journey, and subscribe to the channel for more surprising stories from the animal world.